There are several different directives inside a content security policy, and we'll take a look at just a few of them. Some directives are related to cross-site scripting. Connect source tells the browser where this domain is allowed to connect to. So in the case of having an API in another domain, we can give the browser permission to connect to the partner domain without allowing the browser to make connections to any random API. The script source directive makes sure that we don't run any scripts that didn't originate or come from a place that we're comfortable with. So in the example script source directive here, we're allowing scripts to come from the current domain that we're in, plus the matilde.local domain. Additionally, if any scripts are tagged with that particular nonce, then that section of code would be allowed to run as well. You'll see the tags used to mark legacy code that hasn't been removed from the HTML page yet. Script source directive is a good example of how the directives intercede and block content that doesn't originate from one of the sources specified in the directive. And in general, all of the blocking directives work in this same way. So let's say that we have a cross-site script that we're going to run on this page. In this case, we look at a script that's getting injected into the form field and reflected as output onto the page. Before we try it on the content security policy page, let's look at the exact same page without content security policy protection. So we inject the script through the form field and it executes, popping up a box with the number 9. Going back over to the content security policy page, we inject the same script and submit the form. This time nothing happens. If we open up the developer toolbar and take a look at the web console, we'll see a message from the browser saying that the content security policy has kicked in and it blocked the loading of a resource that was injected in line. And this was due to the script source directive. The script source directive is also a good example of a directive that's taking the place of what was formerly a standalone protection. So the cross-site scripting protection header used to tell the browser to try to block scripts that were injected into HTML in line. And the script source directive has taken over those responsibilities, obsoleting the former header. And there are lots of examples where content security policy is bringing these formerly independent features under the same umbrella. Some directives are related to HTML injection. Content security policy doesn't block HTML injection specifically, but it does block the companion activities that typically go along with HTML injection. There are several of these, but some examples include trying to load images or fonts from other domains, styles, trying to bring in frames and do frame injection, or other types of injection of content that would give realism to the HTML injection. We note that HTML injection isn't blocked by content security policy, and we can verify this by doing an HTML injection on the sample page. So here we have an HTML injection that's going to modify the content, adding the word hello in big bold letters. And when that's rendered on the page, it does indeed execute. And there's no warnings in the console related to this injection because content security policy didn't take any action. However, if we had also tried to inject an image along with the word that we injected, the image source policy would kick in and block the loading of the image because the image isn't coming from one of the sources specified in the image source policy. So HTML injection will still work, but the other items that are normally injected to make it a realistic attack that's able to trick the user into giving up some data or otherwise doing some sort of phishing attack are essentially nullified by content security policy. So we can still deface the page through a cross-site script, but wouldn't necessarily be able to do much more damage than that. Other directives related to phishing attack include frame ancestors, which keeps the current site from being framed by other sites on the web, and the navigate to directive telling the browser where it's safe to direct this user to after they leave this page. So if the user were to click a link or have some sort of JavaScript event that changed the location to a different domain, the navigate to directive checks to make sure that the place the user is getting sent to is on the safe list. The form action directive is similar, but it decides where form submissions can be sent to. Looking at the frame options directive, that's being replaced by content security policy, kind of like the XSS protection header is also being replaced by a script source. The frame ancestors directive is replacing frame options. So if we specify a value of frame ancestors none, that's the same as saying xframe options deny, meaning no one can frame the current domain, not even code from the current domain. And xframe options same origin has an equivalent frame ancestors self, which allows the current domain to frame pages in this domain, but it won't allow any other website to frame this domain. Frame ancestors takes it a step further though, extending the capabilities of frame options. And technically, frame options had an allow from feature, but it wasn't supported widely by browsers. However, the frame ancestors equivalent is fully supported. So it's possible to specify another domain that's allowed to frame our site, but not let any other sites on the web frame our site. And this is very useful if you want to allow your site to be embedded in someone else's web page. There are special directives. One of these is default source. If we don't explicitly declare a directive, then that directive is not implemented because content security policy was 100% opt-in. However, if we declare the default source directive, then any policies that we don't explicitly declare take on the value of the default source policy. So in this example here, we're not declaring manifest source, but because we've declared default source of self, our policy's manifest source directive will take on the value of self. There are a lot of other directives as well, and these are documented on the Mozilla Developer Network pages. In the next section, we'll take a look at one of the more interesting features of content security policy, the ability to have browsers report back to the development team when one of the policies fires.